Hello, this is Kevin Olson from TextLearn.com, and today we are going to be working on the Topic 5 review assignment, which is to create a student gradebook. So the assignment here says create a program that stores student grades as doubles in an array list. The program should have a menu with the following options, which are accessed by typing the corresponding integer number. And the options in the menu will be enter grades, modify entry, delete entry, view stats, view all entries, and exit. So without further ado, I'm going to open Eclipse here and show you how this works. So I already have a working copy here that I'm going to just show you. So I run it now and it presents the menu. It says welcome to Gradebook. Please select an option from the list below. So first I'm going to enter some values in. So let's just enter in 5 numbers that could be student grades. Alright, hit -1 to exit. It takes me back to the menu. And now I can view all entries by pressing 5. And it printed out a table with each index and the value. I type 4. And it prints out the gradebook stats. So it says there's 5 entries. The maximum value is 100. The minimum value is 4, the average value is 73, and the median is 76, which is correct looking at this. Modify an entry. So which index would you like to modify? Let's say I modify 1. It says index value is 56. What would you like to change it to? Let's make that 88. Alright, and now let's view all entries again. And you can see that index 1 was changed from 56 to 88. And finally, delete an entry, so I type that in. 3, delete which index? Let's say I delete index 4. Deleting index 4, value of 100. And we view all stats, or view all entries. And index 4 was removed. Then finally, type 6. And the program exits. And as you can see, I can no longer stop it, so it stopped itself. Okay, so let's start working on this. I'm going to create a new project. I'm just going to call it Gradebook. And we're going to give it, I'm going to close these out, move the console down. Alright, so we're going to create a new class, and I'll just call it Gradebook. Give it a main method. Now we can start coding. Okay, so the first step in this is going to be to create variables which will hold certain information. So first we're going to need an integer variable, which is going to store the option that the user has selected. Oops. And option equals 0. And then we're going to say system.out.println. Welcome to the gradebook. Alright, and then we're going to have to create a scanner. User input equals new scanner system.inputStream. And we're going to have to create our array list. And we're going to make it of type double equals new array list of type double. And that's going to store our ArrayList double gradebook equals new ArrayList double. Okay. And now we're going to use quick fixes to import the scanner and import the ArrayList object. So now those are in there, so we're ready to use them. Okay. Now we're going to have to create our menu. So we're going to do this using a loop. The whole program's going to go inside this loop. So menu loop, I'll call this. And we're going to say while option is not equal to 6. So as long as they don't type 6 at the menu, it'll keep running through and print out the menu each time. So we're going to print the main menu. System out println, please select an option from the list below. system out print line 1, enter values. Two will be modify entry. 3 will be delete entry. 4 will be view stats. 5 is going to be view all entries. And finally, print line 6 is going to be exit program. And just to make it a little nicer, let's do this. Just add kind of a bracket there so we know where the menu is and where the menu ends. Okay. So just save that. Run it. Oops. And of course it's going to keep looping for while until infinity because I did not create a scanner yet or use the scanner for the user to select option. So option is equal to user input dot next integer. Nope, user in dot next int. That's the one I used here. So you run that. Take a look at the console. And of course, none of them work right now. So I type 1, nothing happens. And then it just prints out the menu again. I type 6, and the program ends. So we already have one of our 6 options done. The exit feature already works. Alright, so now we're going to do option 1, enter values. So if the option is equal to 1, we're going to have to create another while loop. While loop for entering data so they can enter an unlimited amount of student grades. So while true. So this will just keep going and going. And we're actually also going to have to create a double, and that'll just store the value of each entry. So while 2 GradeBook entry is equal to scan or user in dot next double, and then we exit if they get -1. So they type -1 in, we break out of the loop, and that takes us back to the options menu, and or the main menu. And otherwise, if they do not type -1, we take our gradebook and we add the value gradebook entry to the gradebook. Okay, so that is how we get the user's input into the array list. Now we're going to create our second option, which would be option 2. Modify an entry. So if option equals 2, what do we do? Well, this will be pretty easy. We will say system print line and all this will do is it'll replace one value with another one. So we say int index equals user in dot next int. So we get the index that they want to replace, and then we say replace index, and we'll say the index they typed, and we'll say what value it currently is. And we use gradebook.get for that. Get index, okay. Replace index value with what? Okay, and with semicolon. And then we do user input dot, or actually I'm going to say gradebook dot remove, actually gradebook dot set, because we're going to just set it, so we already know what it is. So we take the index and we are just replacing it with user input dot next double. Okay, and once it does that, we'll just let them know they finished. Successfully set. Okay, so that's how you modify an entry. So if they type option 3, and in this case option 3 is going to be delete, and we can actually pretty much just copy these two lines here and modify them a little. So which index would you like to delete? And then we do gradebook remove the index. Alright, and we say system out print line removed. That's easy enough. And let's skip over view stats for now. Let's do that last because that's the most involved option out of all of them. So now we'll do option 5, which is view elements. So if option is equal to 5, then all we're going to do is print out a table of all the entries. Now you could just print out the whole array list if you wanted to, but when you do that, it's not going to look quite as nice. I mean, it'll look pretty good, but it won't look like a table or anything. So to make it look like a table, all I'm going to do here is type in index. We're going to make it like this, index, and then we're going to give the value. So we'll use a for loop, and that's going to print out a column on the left with the indices and then the value. So for int I equals 0, I is less than gradebook.size I plus plus. So we're going to create the rows, create rows, and it's just going to be system out print line that, and then it's going to be the index value. Oh, it's out of space there. Plus I plus alright, and then plus gradebook dot get the indice I. Okay, so now we have almost everything done. So let's run this. See if everything's working, give it a little test. So enter values. I type 1 and nothing happens. So let's see what I did wrong there. It's possible that my statements are out here. So let's scroll up. So if option equals 1, it looks right to me. No, I never asked it to print anything out. So let's see. That's why it's not. Please enter values. Type -1 to exit. Now we'll run that again. Now we type 1, and now it's asking for the value. So let's just do 77, 78, 79, and 80. -1 exits and takes us back to the main menu. Now let's do view all entries, 77, 78, 79, and 80. Now let's test modification. So let's modify index 0 and make that 66. And now let's make sure that worked. Yep, it's 66 now. And then finally, let's make sure delete works, and let's delete index 0 and view all entries, and 0 is removed. Now it only has 3 instead of 4. Alright, so that is all working fine and dandy. Now let's do our final option, which is option 6, and that is actually that's option 4, which will give us the stats. So if option is equal to 4, we're going to first calculate the average. So how do we do that? Well, we can do that using a for loop. So we're going to create a double total to store the total amount when you add everything up. So for integer I is equal to 0, I is less than gradebook.size. Then we increment I by 1 each time. So we're just going through all of gradebook and totaling it up, and we just do total plus equals gradebook.get I. Oh, I didn't initialize that, so I had to do double total equals 0. Okay. So the next thing we are going to do here is to sort gradebook. So we're just going to sort it from smallest to largest, and that will make it easy for us to find the minimum and maximum values. So the first thing we're going to actually have to do is copy the gradebook into a new gradebook. So ArrayList copied gradebook is equal to new ArrayList type double parentheses, and I need to add double here as well. Okay. And now I'm going to use the copied gradebook dot add all, and then we can add all of our original gradebook to the copied gradebook. So now we're not messing with the values in the original gradebook, where instead we have a copy of it, and now we're going to sort the copy of it. And the reason we do this is because, like I said, we don't want to mess up the ordering of our original gradebook. So the order that they type it in originally is the order it stays in. So now we do collections.sort. And we do copied gradebook. So now it's sorted, and now all we have to do is extract max and min. And actually for this average here, I forgot to do double average equals total divided by gradebook.size. So that'll give us our average. And we have double max is equal to gradebook, and that's just going to be gradebook.size minus 1. And remember, it's 0 based, so we have to put a -1 in there. And that needs parentheses. And double min equals gradebook. I need to have a get there as well. Gradebook.get, and it's just going to be 0. Actually, it's not gradebook, it's our copied gradebook that we want, because we want the max will be the last element in the copied gradebook, and the min will be the first element in the copied gradebook. So now we have the average, the maximum, and the minimum. Alright, so find median. And how we're going to find the median, that's the value that's exactly in the middle of the gradebook. when it's properly sorted, and if it's an odd amount of elements in the gradebook, we just take the middle value. If there's an even amount of elements in the gradebook, we take the middle two values and we find the average of the two. So that'll give us the median in either case. So the first thing we're going to have to do here is determine if the gradebook has an even or an odd amount of elements. So if copied gradebook dot size, and we're going to use the modulus operator, which finds a remainder. So mod 2 is equal to 1. That'll mean great, the gradebook is odd because it has a remainder of 1. So all we have to do is say median, and I have to create the median. Median equals copied gradebook dot get copied gradebook dot size divided by 2, and that'll just automatically find whatever the value is at the element in the center of the sorted array list. So now else, so this means if it's not odd, it must be even. So first we're going to have to calculate our first index, because we're going to have to know, we're going to have to find the value at one index and then that value plus 1. So we have to find the middle, the two middle values essentially here. So the first indice is going to be at sorted book dot size actually copy gradebook dot size, because I use different names in here than I did in the solution before. I'm just used to using sorted book. So that's our first index, and then we're going to have our second index, which is just going to be the first index minus 1. So this will actually return the middle value plus 1, really. So this will actually be the second index, technically. Might as well rename that. Alright. And we're going to have our first median. So the first middle value, which is going to be equal to copied gradebook dot get, and it's going to be the second index minus 1 double second median is just going to be copied gradebook dot get second index. Okay, so now that we know that, our median is simply going to be the average of those two. So median is going to be equal to the first median plus the second median, second middle value, divided by 2. And we want to make sure it stays a double, so I'll add a 0.0 there. So that should find our average, our minimum value, our maximum value, and our median. Awesome. So we could save all that. And let's print out the results. So it will be system out println gradebook stats system out println average plus average println min plus min, and let's just line these up, so I'll add some extra spaces in here. System out println max plus max println median plus median, and system out println elements, which is going to be the number of elements. So all I have to do is get gradebook.size. Alright, so we save that and run it, test it out. So we will enter our values. So I'll just pick some random numbers again, make it nice and long, -1 to exit. And now we go for view stats. And as you can see, it found our average. The minimum value I entered was 56, the maximum was 98, and the median between all those is 78.0. Alright, so I'll exit the program. And that is all this assignment entails. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. Thank you, and take care.